Okay, hello everybody watching. I believe I am live right now. Let me just make sure that is happening. Yes, I believe I am live. Yes, I am. Okay, yes, and we have two people watching now. That's great. Okay, so for those of you watching, my name is Jacob from jacobteacher.com. It's a pleasure to have you here. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be live streaming, giving free English lessons on here pretty regularly. I'm also new to live streaming, so forgive me if I make mistakes. Making mistakes, that's what this is all about, right? As English language learners, you're going to be making mistakes too. Mistakes are good. That's how we learn. That's how we improve. That's how we get better at things. So you should be making mistakes in English, learning from your mistakes. I'm going to be making mistakes online as an English teacher with technology and all sorts of stuff too. So let's make mistakes together and learn. Let's grow together. Let me just see. We have 4 people watching now. That's awesome. If you could, please leave me a comment. Tell me hello. Tell me where you are right now. Where are you watching from? I'd love to know. Oh, I see a Korean person is watching. I can't read Japanese or Chinese, but I can read Korean. Chun Pyong-uk. Hello, how are you? Oh, and I am an amazing teacher. Thank you so much. So yeah, today we are going to talk about one of the most important English writers, for sure in the 20th century, and arguably of all time too. His name is George Orwell. And how it's going to work, I'm going to talk a little bit about Mr. Orwell to begin. I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction. And then we're going to look at 3 quotes that I think are very important. 3 things that George Orwell said that that will be good to know, that you can learn English from. I'm going to be kind of switching back between the chat section and my presentation window. So I will try to answer your questions as you go along. Just leave a question if you have it in the chat box, and I will try and come back and answer your question. I'm from Chonan, Korea. Okay, well, I am in Jeju right now, Korea. So it's a beautiful evening where we are in Korea. Let's get started. Let me just switch windows here. So, George Orwell, as you'll see, his name is, I have Eric Arthur Blair here in brackets. And that's because that is George Orwell's actual name, Eric Arthur Blair. George Orwell is what we call in English a pen name. George Orwell is a pen name. And a pen name is, it's basically a fake name that an author or a songwriter uses when they work on their art. So Eric Arthur Blair, when he would publish books, he would publish them as George Orwell. George Orwell was his pen name. And for the rest of this presentation, just because it's easier, I'm going to refer to Eric Arthur Blair as George Orwell. Now, George Orwell, he lived a relatively short life from 1903 to 1950. And he was able to accomplish, of course, quite a bit during that short period of time. He accomplished many amazing things, some things that we will talk about today. He's a political writer. That's how you can kind of classify him. In all of the works that he did, he focused, not all of them, but he mainly focused on such issues as individual freedom versus government control, freedom of expression, abuses of power, corruption. These are the kinds of things that George Orwell focused on in his writing. And the goal of his writing, what he really wanted to do, was improve the society we live in. He wanted to expose some of the abuses of power, some things that the government is doing that they should not do. He wanted to improve our society, bring us all closer together so that we can function in a more healthy way. That was the goal of his writing. His two most famous books, I would say, are below. One of them is Animal Farm. Animal Farm is it's a book. It's actually a short novella. We say a novella in English is a short novel, and it is about some of the ideas and things that led up to the Russian Revolution in 1917. The other book on the right is 1984, another one of George Orwell's most famous books. This is a classic book. And this book is basically about what happens when the government just has way too much control. When in this book, Orwell imagines a society in which individual freedom, the freedom to think, the freedom to act as you want, is totally absent. It does not exist. And he imagines a society in which that is the situation. Of these two books, I would highly recommend, especially as an English language learner, I would highly recommend reading Animal Farm. It's a short book. It's very easy to understand. The language is very easy to digest, easy to understand. I had to read this book, I believe, in grade 8, and I think most students who study in an English-speaking country who grow up in that educational system will have to read Animal Farm at one point. So it's an excellent book to start out with if you're looking for an English book that's easy to read. I would highly recommend Animal Farm. Let me just check back on the comments section right now. Okay, how are we doing? Good, 7 people watching, that's awesome. Hello everyone. Again, if you're just joining me, my name is Jacob from jacobteacher.com. Hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be going live here more often. I like going live a lot. I've just started doing it, and I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, so I hope to do more of that. Let's keep going, though. Why is Orwell important today? Why should we study George Orwell today? Well, let me just take a sip of water here. Excuse me. For many reasons, we should study George Orwell, but I want to talk about these two. I'm sure that many of you have noticed, but we live in very strange times politically. In my opinion, all of us as a global society together, we're not doing a very good job communicating about our differences. We're not doing a great job settling our differences, talking about what we disagree on, what we agree on. We're not coming together and talking a lot about our problems. And this is a big issue, of course. We live in very strange times, very dangerous times when a lot of nations, of course, have very dangerous weapons that can change life as we know it very rapidly. So these are things that George Orwell talks about in his novels. He talks about political times that are very strange. He imagines different societies in which these political issues, some of which we're talking about today, are central in his novels. He talks about this a lot. So he was obviously a brilliant man, and it can be very helpful to look at what he has to say about politics and about some of the issues that we still struggle with today. Another thing too, if you've been studying English for a little while now, and if you pay attention to the media, the news, what's going on, you've likely heard the term free speech. And free speech is exactly what it looks to be. It's the idea that people should be free to say whatever they want, even if what they say is if it offends some other people. And this is a big discussion right now in our society. People disagree about what free speech means. The ultimate question that people are asking is there a limit to free speech? Should people be totally free to express how they feel, to say what they want, even if it offends someone? Or is there a point when freedom of speech goes too far, when it's too insulting and offensive? And again, this is an issue that Orwell explored in his novel. He talks about freedom of speech. He talks about the freedom of the individual. And it's very helpful in today's political environment to go back, look at what Orwell had to say about free speech, about all of these political issues that we are dealing with in our present day. Why is Orwell important for English language learners? Well, I mean, any really good writer to be a good writer, you have to be a master of language. George Orwell was certainly that. He was a master of the English language. But more so than that, I think for English language learners, he is excellent because he is very clear in his writing. He speaks very clearly. When he writes, you know exactly what he's trying to say. And he does this on purpose. One thing that Orwell really hated was language that kind of had hidden meanings to it, language that kind of was unclear and language that confused people. He always wanted to be very clear with his message. He always wanted to write in a way that his audience would understand exactly what he is saying. So it's very helpful if you're an English language learner to read Orwell for that reason. You know exactly what he's trying to say. I saw today while I was preparing for this presentation, someone described Orwell as a carpenter of English language. And I think that's a very beautiful way to describe him. What is a carpenter? A carpenter is someone who works with wood to make furniture or whatever. And if you're a carpenter, you have to be very exact with your measurements. You have to be very precise. All of your cuts, they have to be precise or else it won't work. So that is something that you get that feeling with George Orwell when you read him. He's very precise with his language. Everything is very measured and clear. And it's very helpful if you're learning English to read someone who speaks in that way that's very clear to understand. So those are two reasons why I think Orwell is especially important for English language learners. I'm just going to check on the comment section. Hello from Japan. Hello. Nice to meet you. Fallen Angel. Hi, Jake. Greetings from Brazil. Nice to meet you. It's probably morning in Brazil, right? So good morning to you, Fallen Angel. And Mark Becker, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Hi, teacher. Thank you. Hello. Thank you all for watching. It's a pleasure to be talking to you tonight. Let's keep going. And again, my voice is a little dry tonight, so I'll be drinking water. So let's look at 3 different quotes from Orwell. If you don't understand them at first, don't worry. I'm going to break them down. And actually, before we start, I want to explain why I chose these quotes. So I chose them for 2 reasons. The first and the most important reason is because I think there are some valuable English language lessons that you can use starting today from these quotes, and I will explain what I mean by that. But The second reason is because I think that Orwell, in these quotes, he explores very interesting ideas. So, for two reasons. One, you have English language lessons that you can use, that you can practice. As soon as this lesson is done, you can start using some of these examples in regular speech with English speakers. And two, I hope that after talking about some of these quotes with me, after listening to me talk about them, you will think a little differently about some of the things that Orwell said and have be introduced to some new ideas. That's my goal here. So let's keep going. Number one, the first quote. Whoever is winning at the moment will always seem to be invincible. Again, whoever is winning at the moment will always seem to be invincible. Let's start with the word invincible. Invincible, it means too powerful to be defeated. So when I was a young kid, I used to really enjoy playing video games. And I remember I would play with my brother, he would watch, and we'd get to the end of a very difficult level. And at the end of a level, you have to fight the big bad boss. And many times when we first started playing, that big boss, that last stage that you had to go through, the boss was very difficult to defeat. And sometimes in moments of frustration, I remember saying, oh, this boss is invincible. It means he's too powerful. He's too powerful to be defeated. I can't defeat him. So that's what invincible means. Now, winning. It's a relatively easy word, but we can talk about it in more than one way. When we use the word winning, we're typically thinking about something specific, a competition, a sporting event, winning a hockey game, for example. But you can also use the word winning to talk about just doing well in life in general. So you can say, I'm winning in life. I won today. You can use that. A lot of the time it's used sarcastically. And you can use it to just say that you're doing well. So if you're winning in life, maybe you're making a lot of money, maybe you're doing whatever, you're succeeding in some way in life, and you can say, I'm winning. One famous example of this, perhaps some of you will recognize the man on this poster. His name is Charlie Sheen, and he is a famous American actor. A few years ago, he became kind of notorious for this one phrase. He would always kind of say to himself or to the camera, winning, winning, like that. And it was his tagline, kind of. He would use that. And when he said it, it meant he was winning in life. He was rich. He had all of these beautiful women around him, all of these things that we associate with success. And unfortunately, today he's not doing as well. He's not winning as much anymore, I believe. I don't know much about Charlie Sheen, but for a while this became a very popular kind of meme on the internet. People would always talk about winning in this way. So just something to know, winning can also be used to talk about doing well in life in general. So what does this mean then? Well, it means, let's read it again. Whoever is winning at the moment will always seem to be invincible. In this quote, from this particular essay, Orwell is talking about politics. He's talking about whoever is winning at the moment. So the political party that's in charge, they will always seem to be invincible. Now, to me, and if you're watching in the chat box, please leave a comment. Tell me what you think this means, what you think this quote means. I will tell you what I believe. To me, what Orwell is talking about here is our inability as people to kind of see beyond the present moment. So, for example, a lot of the time, I'm a big sports fan, and a lot of the time, if one particular team is winning, let's say a basketball team is on a win streak. A win streak is when you win consecutive games in a row for however long. Let's say one team is on a win streak. I often find myself in these moments imagining that the team is too good to beat, that no other team will be able to come and beat this team. And of course, I recognize that that's impossible, that someone will come along and beat that team. But I think as humans, we often underestimate how likely change is to happen. We have a real problem looking into the future and into the past and recognizing that change is inevitable. Inevitable is a word that means it must happen. Change must happen in life. It's going to happen. Everything will change. And as humans, it's very easy, I think, to get caught up in everyday life and forget that things can be very, very different very quickly. The whole world could literally change in a second. And we often forget that that is the case. Nutrient meaning. I'm just looking at the comments now. Please have a pronunciation class too. Okay, I will think about that. Alan Peaker, hello, I believe. Alan, sorry again if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Nutrient meaning. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. Please tell me more. I'd love to know your thoughts. And yeah, let's keep going. So that's, again, this is when we're looking at literature, when we're looking at art, all of this is open to interpretation. So I'm going to tell you what I think all of this means. I'd love to know your thoughts, and we can talk about it. We can discuss our ideas together, debate certain things if we disagree. That's the beauty of literature. That's the beauty of art. That's what I love about this stuff, and I hope you enjoy it too. So that is to say, you don't have to believe me 100%. If you disagree with something that I'm saying, that's good. I want to know what you think. I want to know why you disagree. It's healthy, I think, to disagree and to talk about our disagreements. Let's keep going. Oh, here we go. The second quote. Now, this one is particularly difficult, but again, we're going to break it down. Break it down is a phrase in English. If you don't know, that means, well, break it down. I will explain the quote in detail. I will take it as a whole and break it into different pieces. So it's a very common phrase that people use in this situation. Let me read it for you. In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. One more time. In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. So, let's start with universal. Universal is an adjective, and it describes something that is everywhere, or something that is affecting people everywhere. For example, you can say death is universal, and that means everyone is affected by death. Death is everywhere. It's a part of life. It's universal. Death is everywhere. Again, you could say suffering is universal. All of us as humans, we are affected by suffering. It's everywhere. This is very depressing, I know, death and suffering. What a nice English lesson for a Monday morning, evening, wherever you are. Very depressing, I know. But that's what universal means. It's a good vocabulary word to know. Deceit. So deceit here, it's used as a noun. Now in adjective form, it's deceitful, and used as a verb, it is deceive, to deceive someone. And deceit, it means to not be honest, to hide the truth. So let's look at an example sentence. You could say, the politician was a deceitful man. So it's used as an adjective here. And it means, in this case, that the politician, this particular politician, was deceitful. He was hiding the truth. He's not honest. Another one, I think she might be deceiving me. So this is, deceive is used as a verb here. I think she might be deceiving me. It means I think that she is not being honest with me. I think that she's hiding the truth. And typically, when we're talking about deceit, when we're talking about deceiving someone, usually it's done, if we are the ones deceiving someone else, usually it is done for our own personal benefit. So you deceive someone usually because you will gain from that deception, from deceiving them. And the last big word here that I want to look at is revolutionary, and that is an adjective that describes dramatic change, something very quick, big, and dramatic, a dramatic change. The Russian Revolution was revolutionary. It was a period of rapid, dramatic change that affected everyone around the world, really. So what does this mean then? Again, if you want to tell me your opinion, tell me what you think this quote means. I will tell you what I think. In a time of universal deceit, so in a time where there is deceit, dishonesty, where the truth is hidden everywhere. Everywhere you look, everyone you speak to, everything you see, in a time when everything is deceitful, when you can't trust anyone or anything you see, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. So saying how you feel inside, telling the truth, saying what you believe in is revolutionary. It is dramatic. It is heroic, if you will. Heroic. It's something that you must do. So I think it's quite a beautiful quote, and I believe this is taken from 1984, his George Orwell's very famous novel. That, again, if anyone is up for the task, you should definitely read that book. It's very entertaining. Okay, let me check the comments section here. Pronunciation class, being truth, rare and hard to find, trustworthy people. Being truth, rare and hard to find. Yes, okay, so I think I know what you're saying, Alan. Being truth, hard to find, trustworthy people. So truthworthy, okay. Yes, so in a situation where the truth is impossible to find, when you can't trust anything you see, that is when you have to take the responsibility on yourself to be honest with yourself and to say the truth, to speak the truth that you feel inside of you. In the beneficiary situations, who everybody looking for his benefits, and finding true person so hard. So I think what you're saying is everyone benefits when we tell the truth, when we're true with ourselves. I think that's what you're saying, and I agree. I agree completely. I think it's very important. Great work, Alan. Keep up the good work. I love the comments. Okay, and let's keep going. This last one is actually my favorite, and I think that you will benefit from this a lot. It's a very short quote. Let's read it. Good writing is like a window pane. Once again, good writing is like a window pane. So this is an example. Excuse me for 1 second. This is an example of something that is called a simile in English. Now, a simile is a tool that it's a figure of speech, we say, that's used when we're speaking and when we are writing. And it compares two things together. So in this case, good writing is being compared to a window pane. It also typically uses the words like or as to compare the two things. So you can see the word like is used in this quote, and like is what is comparing good writing and a window pane. That's the word that compares the two. Also, a lot of the time, as is used instead. Let's look at some examples. As beautiful as a rose, as fat as a pig, as tall as a mountain, as quiet as a cat. So you can imagine if you're speaking or if you're writing, and if you're comparing, let's say, some man, if you say, he's as fat as a pig, if you say that, if you write it down, it changes the way that you imagine, it changes the way you think about the situation. Suddenly, in your mind, you have a more vivid, clear picture of what you're trying to describe, what the person is trying to describe. So it's used a lot in poetry and when we're speaking, and it's a very fun way of comparing two things. So let's look at this quote. Good writing is like a window pane. Well, what is a window pane? A window pane is, like you can see in the image below, it's a section of a window, of a glass window. And I want to challenge you then. What do you think this quote means? Good writing is like a window pane. Also, so 2 challenges for you right now. If you can, try and give me some similes. Okay, let's look again first at what a simile is. A simile compares two things using like or as. I want you to try and think of a simile. Write it in the comment section, please. I would love to know. Also, the second challenge, tell me what you think George Orwell is talking about here when he says, good writing is like a window pane. Good writing is like a window pane. Tell me what you think. How much your written texts or books be clear. People who reading your books or point of view, they can easily find out your point of view. Yes, okay, Alan, excellent work. I completely agree with you. And I read Orwell's Animal Farm recently. Very good. Svetlana, you actually read Orwell's Animal Farm. That's awesome. What did you think of it? Tell me. I'm curious to know. Did you enjoy it? Back to Alan Parker. I completely agree. That's what this quote means. A window pane is clear, of course. You can see through a window pane. And before, remember, I was talking about how George Orwell, he always wanted to be clear in his writing. He always wanted his reader to know exactly what he intended to say. His message was always clear. And you really get that feeling when you read George Orwell. You can understand exactly what he's trying to say, as if you're looking through a glass window. There's nothing that is hidden or very difficult to understand. He's not hiding in his language. It's very clear, right in front of you, and it's excellent to read. It's part of what made him an amazing author, his ability to write in such a way. Yes, Alan, your words and speaks like your heart and brain through the people you are in contact with. Yes, again, and I think you're talking about honesty again, and speaking from deep within, saying what you believe, no matter what, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's hard to do, being honest with yourself. So, excellent work. That is about all that I have for you today. If you are just tuning in right now, or if you've been watching for a while, thank you so much. I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel, of course, so if you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed this presentation, if you enjoy the content that I put out, please do me a favor and share it with people who you think may also enjoy it. It would be a huge favor to me, and I would really appreciate it. That is all that I have for you today. Again, also on Wednesday, so this is going to happen every Wednesday, I'm going to be going live on the English Language School Facebook page. So if you don't know them already, it's an excellent Facebook page if you're learning English. They post content there regularly from various sources. So a bunch of English teachers online, they pull some of their YouTube videos and post them on their page. And it's really just an excellent place to go and learn from a variety of different English teachers. So again, thank you so much. I will be there on Wednesday. Check them out. If you go to Facebook, search English Language School, you'll find their page, and you'll find me there on Wednesday. Thank you so much. Again, that's all I can think of now. I hope you have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. It was a pleasure speaking with you tonight. Great job, everyone. Keep learning English. My name is Jacob from jacobteacher.com, and I will see you another time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.